Hello friends, welcome back to my channel here at True Reality Life, where we talk about, learn, and grow from the true realities of the life around us. Today I want to start this episode off with some deep breathing, as I really want to start every episode off with, just so we can both get in the right headspace before we dive right into this information. So let's just take a few deep breaths together, whether you're on your couch, at home, in bed, in the car, whatever it may be. It's just as simple as deep breath in and deep breath out. So let's do this together. Let's do one more. I don't know about you, but I know I always feel better from that. That's my favorite thing to do if I'm feeling a little anxious or scared, nervous, anything that may be going on with life. The deep breathing always helps, so I really want to try to start every episode off with that if we can. If you're new here, my name is Amber, and I am the host here at this podcast, True Reality Life. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. If you haven't watched our previous video posted last week, feel free to go check that out. It's just our very first pilot episode introducing what exactly this podcast is intended for and how mental health is not mental illness. But today we're going to talk about what exactly is mental health and why it matters. So let's start off with you. What is the first thing that comes to your mind whenever you think about mental health? I'll give you a second. Okay, so if you're like the majority of people, like we kind of talked about in the previous video, a lot of people think of anxiety, depression, and all of the struggles that come along with mental health, which that is only one aspect of mental health in general. That is one tiny little fragment that we don't always need to focus on. Of course, we'll get into those, the mental illnesses involved with mental health down the road. But mental health is not mental illness. It's not at all. So let's talk about specifically what is mental health if it's not mental illness. So mental health is how your mind feels and reacts in everyday life. It's how you handle stress, how you relate to other people, make decisions, and just deal with life in general. Life is hard, and you can choose to respond in many different ways, and usually that's dependent upon how healthy your mental health is. So, if our mental health is in a good place, a lot of times you can feel good and respond to stressful life situations fairly well, versus if your mental health is neglected and not in a good condition, you're more likely to feel overwhelmed, sad, tired, anxious, or just feel off about the simplest things in life. Have you ever blown up over the tiniest thing that you think back and why was that even a big deal? Something spilled, or the dog got in your way, or somebody cut you off in traffic and you just blow up. And you're like, why am I responding this way? Trust me, you are not alone. We all have those days. But if you're noticing that is a consistent thing for you, that's usually because your mental health needs some attention. If you can't tell, our mental health is closely tied to our emotional response, and that's usually from hormones that are produced in our body. So if you're neglecting your mental health, your hormone regulation is going to be completely off. And that's because our brains, where our mental health originates from, are what produce our hormones. So there's a part in your brain that releases hormones that control how you respond emotionally to the things around you. So your brain can release happy hormones like dopamine or serotonin, or stress hormones like cortisol or epinephrine, or even just not emitting these hormones can make you feel sad and depressed and lonely. And that's all because of hormones, all because of things going on in your physical body that are making you feel a certain way. That's why us women, I don't know if you can relate, that time of the month, or if you're pregnant or anything like that, your hormones are all over the place. It's really hard to regulate your emotional response to things and your mental health during these times because your hormones are kind of everywhere, all out of whack. And we'll get through some ways to cope with that and that time of the month or pregnancy down the road in some future episodes. But it all really is just hormones and chemicals in your body. And it's wild because if you neglect it, then your emotional regulation is completely off kilter. And that is exactly why our physical health is tied so closely to our mental health, because our mental state of mind is what's influencing our physical response to things as well. But it can often confuse us or distract us if we pay attention so much to our physical health. It'll give us just enough of those happy hormones like dopamine whenever you go work out to make us think our mental health is okay. Say you go to the gym or exercise or eat a healthy meal or consistently diet. You may feel so good about yourself, you feel hyped up, you feel happy and all of these things, so you don't pay attention to your mental health because those chemicals are in line from your physical abilities and your physical exercise. But you can be as physically fit as you want. You can be buff and you can walk up a flight of stairs without being winded, which I cannot do at 7.5 months pregnant. So kudos to you if you can do that. But I don't care how physically fit you are, you need to pay attention to your mental health, because say you're super fit, but then your spouse comes home and says something you don't like and you feel hurt by that and you snap or you walk away or you stay quiet, or your kids need your attention but you're too tired and everything's annoying you and you have just no energy left because you've physically exhausted yourself. That's not very mentally healthy, is it? Although they are tied closely together and they go off of one another, if you neglect one, it'll ultimately affect the other. So we've talked about what mental health is, and we've kind of touched on why it matters, but I want to be a little bit more specific to why your mental health matters to you. Mental health matters because it affects the way you think, feel, and act in every single day of your life. It influences your everyday relationships. It determines your mood, your patience, or what I like to call how short your fuse is before you blow up, and your communication style. The more you work on your mental health, the more present you will be with those around you and be able to connect with the people that matter most to you. Neglecting your mental health can lead to mental illnesses that directly tie into your physical health, such as anxiety, depression, and increased stress levels. All of these hormone responses, like we were kind of talking about before, have a direct toll on your physical body and can lead to things like headaches, poor sleep, and even heart problems. Like, it's wild how much they are connected to each other. Like, if you find yourself awake all night and you can't seem to sleep, we probably need to address some things in our mental health. And we will go over tips and tricks of how to go to sleep, because I've always had issues falling asleep. But mental health does matter in that aspect, even if you don't think it matters. Mental health and wellness shapes the way that we connect and see the world around us. Like, every single day, good mental health will allow you to feel more confident, hopeful, and overall enjoy life. Even when it's not perfect, even when shit is hitting the fan, even when life feels impossible, you will be able to cope with the life around you if you give your mental health more attention. Ultimately, when you take care of your mind, most things in life become easier to handle. So in stressful situations, you'll be able to respond more calmly, with more insight, with more confidence, versus in a stressful situation feeling chaotic, feeling stressed out, anxious, overwhelmed, burnt out, all of those things, just because your mental health is not healthy enough to respond to the life around you. You will be so surprised at how much you will enjoy life better simply because you're paying attention to your mental health. It's not about the situation changing. It can be exactly the same, A to B, but one, you're paying attention to your mental health, and one, you're not, and your life will feel so much better You're like, oh my gosh, life is just going my way. Like, no, it's because your mindset changed, and that's what we're going to aim for. So now that we have a better picture of what mental health is and why it matters to you, it's time to put our words into actions to improve our mental health. Stay tuned for next week's episode where we're going to dive more into some baby steps and actions that we can take to actually improve our mental health. So make sure to like and subscribe below. Or if you're on Spotify, I think it's subscribe or follow or whatever it may be, so that you can be updated and notified whenever our next episode releases next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here on this journey for us to improve our mental health together. See you next time here on True Reality Life with me, Amber, your host. Love you. Bye.